Top of the morning, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Lennox Lewis. Big up England, big up. Lennox Lewis has advised AJ on the $15 million and recalls the $4 million Mike Tyson stepped aside. Lennox Lewis has offered his advice to Anthony Joshua regarding stepping aside money after accepting $4 million from Don King not to fight Mike Tyson in the 1990s. The former undisputed heavyweight champion responded to the questions about Joshua denying accepting a $15 million deal to avoid a second fight with Alexander Usyk. UK claims that AJ was ready to allow Tyson Fury to fight Usyk, got blasted by the former two-time belt holder. Now, Lewis believes Joshua should go for the belts after doing a similar thing himself when offered a significant sum from Tyson and Don King. The pugilist specialist wanted to regain his championship from Oliver McCall before facing Tyson. However, after accepting the money, Lewis was left high and dry by Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, gave up the WBC title as Riddick Bowe had previously to avoid the Brit. No, said Lewis, in direct response to whether Joshua should accept the 8-figure sum. He added, and before you bring up the $4 million Tyson step-aside money, just remember, I wasn't coming off a loss. I would go get my belts back first. This also is not advice or a knock on AJ. It's just what I would have done in that situation. Wow. Okay. Those are the words of Lennox Lewis. You know, this is really a surprise from Lennox Lewis. And I am actually impressed that he said that, because now Lennox Lewis is actually doing something to help someone in terms of him and his own experiences. See, Anthony Joshua and Lennox Lewis, Joshua's problem with Lennox was the fact that he thought he was ridiculed by Lennox Lewis. And in his mind, you shouldn't ridicule the present fighters. You should give them encouragement instead of giving them criticism as far as, you know, splits and money involved and things like that. Now he's actually saying, hey, you know what? Because I took that $4 million and then I ended up high and dry, I wouldn't recommend that for AJ. That's how you do it. Okay. You don't tell AJ to do something that he shouldn't do. Okay. Lennox Lewis did it. That means AJ shouldn't do it. Right. And this is the first time it makes sense, because he did take a flat rate of $10 million, whereas as opposed to Deontay Wilder shouldn't have done that, but he did it himself. In this case, he was like, hey, I took the $4 million, but I shouldn't have, because I didn't get what I got. Eventually he did, you know, in the 2000s and in 2002 in Memphis, but he didn't get the opportunity like he thought he was going to do by stepping aside. And where Lennox is getting at is, if Anthony Joshua decides to take any type of money, that money will probably be the only guarantee that he will ever have. And Lennox Lewis knows it. Okay? Lennox Lewis knows that, hey, that money is when I take that money will be the only thing that's really guaranteed, because nothing's really guaranteed. And we're talking about Tyson Fury. Anything when you're dealing with Tyson is totally unorthodox. He's totally a liberated-minded person. He thinks like what he is, okay, a traveler. He would not, let's say he beats Usyk, and then he said, you know, and then Tyson Fury, let's say he goes out there and destroys Usyk. You know what he's going to do? He's going to say, well, the money ain't there for AJ anyway. He got his money to sit on his ass, right? Why would I fight him since I dominated the guy that dominated him? So I might not want to fight him at all. I don't care what a contract says for him taking any type of money. That may happen. Tyson Fury may spiral out of control again, because he's mentioned it not too long ago. So a guarantee of an undisputed fight that's concerning Tyson Fury is not guaranteed. So Lennox Lewis is right. I agree with him with this particular advice to Anthony Joshua. You guys tell me what you think of Lennox Lewis's advice. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.